Explanation of Article 334 of the Indian Constitution. The Indian Constitution, through its provisions, has made deliberate efforts to ensure social justice, equality, and representation for historically disadvantaged and marginalized communities. Among such provisions, Article 334 under Part 16, Special Provisions relating to certain classes plays a significant role. It addresses the temporary nature of reservations and special representation in legislative bodies. Text of Article 334. Article 334 states that, notwithstanding earlier provisions, the following shall cease to have effect after a fixed period from the commencement of the Constitution. Reservation of seats for scheduled castes, SCs, and scheduled tribes, STs, in the Lok Sabha, House of the People, and the state legislative assemblies. Representation of the Anglo-Indian community in the Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies by nomination. Originally, the Constitution fixed this period at 10 years from 1950, but it has been extended multiple times through constitutional amendments. Presently, the duration stands as 80 years for reservation of SCs and STs, that is, up to 2030. 70 years for Anglo-Indian representation, which ended in 2020, after the 104th Constitutional Amendment removed this provision. The article further provides that these reservations, once removed, will not affect the existing House or Assembly until its dissolution. Purpose and rationale. The inclusion of Article 334 was based on the vision of the Constitution's framers. They believed that special provisions such as reservations and nominations should be temporary measures to uplift disadvantaged groups until they were able to compete on equal footing in political and social life. The objective was not to make reservation a permanent feature but to act as a bridge towards equality. The Anglo-Indian community was given special representation due to its relatively small population and unique cultural identity. Similarly, SCs and STs, having faced centuries of social discrimination and exclusion, were provided reservations to ensure their effective participation in democratic institutions. Extensions through amendments. Although Article 334 envisioned an expiry of these provisions within 10 years, social and economic realities in India made it necessary to extend them repeatedly. Some key amendments are: 8th Amendment, 1959, extended the period to 20 years. 23rd Amendment, 1969, extended to 30 years. 45th Amendment, 1980, extended to 40 years. 62nd Amendment, 1989, extended to 50 years. 79th Amendment, 1999, extended to 60 years. 95th Amendment, 2009, extended to 70 years. 104th Amendment, 2019, extended SC/ST reservation to 80 years till 2030, but ended Anglo-Indian nomination. Thus, while Anglo-Indian representation has ceased, reservations for SCs and STs continue in recognition of the persistent inequalities they face. Impact and significance. Article 334 reflects a balance between the ideals of equality and the reality of social disadvantage. On one hand, it recognizes that permanent reservation would contradict the spirit of equal democracy. On the other, it accepts that certain communities still require support to achieve genuine equality. The repeated extensions highlight the continuing socio-economic challenges faced by SCs and STs. However, the removal of Anglo-Indian representation reflects the evolving demographic and political context, where the community's numbers had become very small and their cultural identity integrated into broader Indian society. Conclusion. Article 334 embodies the Constitution's dynamic character, its ability to adapt to the changing needs of society. While it originally aimed to phase out special measures after a decade, the continued extension of reservations for SCs and STs shows India's recognition that social justice remains a work in progress. At the same time, the conclusion of Anglo-Indian representation demonstrates the Constitution's readiness to withdraw provisions that are no longer necessary. Thus, Article 334 stands as a reminder of India's commitment to both temporary affirmative action and the ultimate goal of true equality without the need for special measures. The Constitution of India. Part 16. Special provisions relating to certain classes. Article 334. Reservation of seats and special representation to cease after certain period. Notwithstanding anything in the foregoing provisions of this part, the provisions of this Constitution relating to a. The reservation of seats for the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes in the House of the People and in the Legislative Assemblies of the states, and b. The representation of the Anglo-Indian community in the House of the People and in the Legislative Assemblies of the states by nomination, shall cease to have effect on the expiration of a period of 80 years in respect of Clause A and 70 years in respect of Clause B from the commencement of this Constitution. Provided that nothing in this article shall affect any representation in the House of the People or in the Legislative Assembly of a state until the dissolution of the then existing House or Assembly, as the case may be.